All right, welcome back. Welcome back. This is the second episode of Press Release. I'm your host, Sherwin Gloston. To my left is Tommy Ingram, my host, and our host to the right, Cornell Harris, coming from you live from the Everything Media studio here in Augusta, Georgia. Fellas, how you doing?
All right.
Excited, man.
Excited
I'm
about
always
today.
excited. Y'all, listen, man. Let's do that. I'm always excited.
I am excited about today as well. Last week, man, we talked about how do you find your purpose, right?
Yeah.
How do you think we kind of closed that out? What were your thoughts coming away from that?
I mean, always when you having discussions about something that's purposeful,
Yes,
it's all about how do you apply it. And I think that application of purpose is, in general, just do it, like the Nike say. Just do it. Just do what God has called you to do in
Absolutely.
life, and be about God's people.
There you go.
Purpose.
Absolutely. What about you, Tommy?
Well, one of my friends told me I had mentioned the purpose on my Facebook talk, and he was like, I am. They don't know what their purpose are. A lot of people don't know what their purpose are. So I'm hoping that and praying that the episode that we did would help somebody even understand what their purpose is.
And I piggyback just off of what both of you said. I hope that what we are giving to the community is something that they can take and apply it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
It's all about applying it, man.
Let's do it.
So today's episode, we are talking about the master's effect.
Okay.
All right. And that's pretty much a breakdown of how when the Augusta Nationals comes to Augusta, right, what things offspring from that, right? What impact does it have on the community and the development of the community, right? And then in addition to that, we want to talk about the rise of the NIL. We got a lot of these guys from high school, college, who are starting to get into the NIL deals. How do we get these guys to understand really what name, image, and likeness is all about to be able to produce their brand to make them marketable and for their next steps? So Cornell, you're the sports guy, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll start there, just kind of like, because you know all about the NIL, and we'll shift a little bit back and forth.
Absolutely.
About how these guys can become community guys, when they get into business itself and what they can do for the community when they get into business. And then boom, hey, how do we get these guys in the business? How do we help them create their brand itself? And so we can talk about that. But
let's drop some gems. Let's drop some gems, okay?
Let's make it plain.
First of all, making it plain, name, image, and likeness.
Yes.
Making it plain. What a lot of people don't understand with NIL is it's about marketing. And how do you see yourself as a product of progression or a product of society? So when it comes to kids and people just in general thinking that, hey man, I could take this young kid and I could take this older kid and I could take this young adult and I could take this adult,
yes,
and I can get into a NIL space where they're not realizing there has to be a market for you.
Absolutely.
There has, just like any product, you have to know what the target market is and how to apply whatever that student and what they look like and what people will do. They have a following. So if you have a following, then you have some people that you can have an impression on, and they will make decisions off of what you may do and what you may like. So that's, in a nutshell, people got to look at it from, is my child a product? And will people follow my child? And what kind of product is my child? And will people make decisions based upon what my child does? Got
it. So you talking about the name, image, and likeness and what it takes to be able to even be in position for some type of endorsement deal, sponsorship or whatever like that.
Yes.
How is that affecting the attitudes of the young men and women that's coming through high school and collegiate sports? How is that affecting their attitude if they're walking in high school, are they in high school making hundreds of thousands of dollars? I even heard $1 million claims on certain students, right?
Yeah.
And then most definitely at the college level, they're making millions.
Yeah.
How is it affecting their attitude when they have come to so much money at a young age? And then you're talking about okay, how do they respond to when they get to the pro level?
I think we're in the social media space, so a lot of times we based a lot of things off of how it looks on a social media platform instead of what it looks like in reality. Because just because you're surfing, surfing can make dollars on social media, but at the same time, is somebody actually gonna go out and buy a product based upon the endorsement or that person showing that product? So when it comes to kids making decisions, I think a lot of times when, if people aren't making a great judgment decision based upon positivity, it could be negativity. So I think in a space of how kids are reacting and how parents are reacting, you go on social media and see a vast amount of, differences of opinions. And a lot of people think that NILs are easy at certain ages, but they're not. College students are getting NIL deals on a very separate bias. So it's not like everybody's getting $1 million. Some of the bigger names are getting $1 million, but everybody that's going to college is not getting $1 million. And then you got to look at it from, its detail, executive, and how much schools are really having that certain amount of money. And then when it comes to corporate sponsorship and what those endorsements look like, because all it is basically endorsements on steroids.
Got it. So, how does that affect their attitude with a young person coming into that so much money? You being a coach, you being in the sports space. If a guy comes to you, he's making $100,000 a year at the high school level.
It affects it, but at the same time, $100,000 can get ran through real easily. So it is affecting their attitudes where you could say, it's no kids around our area that's making $100,000 playing high school sports. But at the same time, if a company sees that they want to put that amount of dollar on a particular kid,
and it may be $50,000, it may be $10,000.
Just understand they have investigated on how they money. That's just like us. I'm not gonna just spend $20,000, put $20,000 in advertising for something that I don't believe in.
Correct.
Every now and then you have a person that can get away with, a coup, getting away with that type of money. But, more than likely they've investigated that kid, making sure that they coming from a good upbringing, making sure that, that kid has, a great evaluation. Because the evaluation is based upon what's the percentage of that person being a professional athlete.
Got it. So Tommy, when these guys are coming into this money, right? And we're talking about not only the Augusta community, but communities across America. They're coming to this money. What is the responsibility that you think they have at that young age on a high school level? And then most definitely, colleges are in certain cities and areas as well. What responsibility do those guys have as a commitment to the community?
Well, first I would say we have to understand the structure of how the economic portion of it really works. Because we don't investigate. You said something, investigate. They investigate the student, they investigate the athlete, but the family don't investigate the college. They don't investigate the opportunity. They don't investigate how much money really out there for my child. Yeah. Or, back in the days when Reggie Bush, they were saying that he got a deal on the secret side, but now it's a whole nother level. So things have changed. Things are always going to change, but I think it's changed for the better. Years ago, I always felt that every college professional athlete should at least get $100,000, even if they don't even know them. You get what I'm saying? Because they own the team. They are doing something for that particular school. And they bring in finances to that school, whether the quarterback can't get $1 million if you ain't got linemen over there. They don't know the lineman, but the lineman need to get money too because he a lineman. He protected them. I don't know his name. I don't know who he is. I don't know nothing about him because the quarterback and the running back and the receivers, they get all the attention. But back to what you're saying as far as related to the community, we never connect to our particular black athletes, African-American athletes, as the importance of the community. So they'll never probably understand how they can affect the community in a positive way because every other race, to my understanding, they understand their responsibility of giving back to the community. We don't place that in our importance as in in our ministries, in our church, and even in our families. You can tell by even the way our communities look. Mm-hmm. But that is something that we definitely have to do to our young people and let them know that you on this big stage, we need you to understand your importance of giving back to the community. Not necessarily even financial, but your image or your likeness on this thing that we were talking about, to spread that throughout schools, throughout these young men and women in the college. Because everybody's not gonna make it.
Correct.
To athletes.
Yeah.
So
correct.
They need to understand that, and that's the biggest thing that I think that we lose. That a lot of our families think that my child is gonna make it.
And let's pause it right there, because your name, image, and your likeness goes far beyond just sports.
Yeah.
Right. It goes into your education, the educational side. How are you presenting yourself daily to your teachers? Right. How in your job, because you're representing something or someone. Right. Number one, you represent yourself. But when you have the jobs that you have, your name, image, and likeness is still important, just as important as an NIL deal when it comes to collegiate sports or high school sports, because you have to look at yourself as a brand no matter what. Mm-hmm. And what you project is really kind of what's going to come back to you. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that? Because it's like I say, it crosses over to more things besides sports.
Well, I think they have to separate it. Have to be able to separate. Don't take your attitude because you're a great football player in the classroom. When you're a student, you're a student. Understand that. You're not the instructor or the professor of this classroom. You just happen to be one of the greatest players that's in the school
Correct.
The team. But when you come to school, you're a student. You got to understand that. Mm-hmm. But your responsibility as a student in respects to your NIL deals or whatever in the community, don't use that to be bullying people or making think you're better than somebody else. And then you also got to be concerned about who you're hanging out with. You can't hang out with the wrong people, because your image is very important. The time you with the wrong people, somebody gonna take a picture, they're gonna put it on social media, they're gonna put it in the paper, and it'll destroy your career.
Yeah, absolutely. And social media is probably one of the biggest detriments to not only student athletes, but just people in general. Think about if your HR person saw you and you carrying on, acting up out in public, right? How does that reflect on the actual brand of the job itself?
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, it crosses over. How about when you're in the church?
Yeah.
That as well.
I think it has a lot to do with, our first episode when you're talking about what's your why. I mean, people who understand their purpose, they make better decisions.
Correct.
So when you're talking about a person that understands their purpose, then they could be a leader. And being a leader is being more in tune with the decisions that you make on an everyday basis.
Correct.
So you're gonna make better decisions if you understand purpose, which in tune, then you're gonna be a leader wherever you at.
I totally agree with that, because I think that a lot of us don't understand our purpose. Like we just mentioned earlier, some people know their purpose. A lot of people, if we ask even the audience that's listening now, what are your purpose? Most people don't know.
Yeah.
I would say 9 out of 10 people probably don't know their purpose. And that's a large percentage of people that don't know their purpose. Because, your purpose to me, again, saying that we talking about these young men and women that's getting these deals, it's important that they understand the structure of it. Why they getting the deal, what's important about the deal, the NIL, which I think is a great thing. Yeah, correct. But I won't leave out, we talking about sports. What about the people that's in art? What about the people that's in other fields? Yeah. They still bringing opportunities to the schools too. Yeah. So they should be getting NIL deals also. So not just for the individual that's in sports, but about the smart people that's doing, all of the medicines deals and all the different inventions that people have. They should get an NIL too, because they getting research monies for the school to put that person out there. But then all the money that they bring into the schools, they never known. But sports is not the only area that people should be getting NIL deals in. That's something some people should know. Wait a minute now, let me look into that. So we need to think a little bit more sometimes. What am I bringing to the table? What am my child bringing to the table too? And the colleges need to understand that too, because like you said earlier, a lot of finances that we don't really know
Correct.
how much finances all these colleges get, and what percentage of the sports or whatever
it's coming in from the sports program,
right.
The medical program,
Exactly.
It's so many different ways you can go.
I think a lot of times it's not a popularity
Correct.
with some of the other aspects of life. I mean, that's like, when we look at educators, why is educators getting paid way less than, doctors, but the educators are the ones that educated the doctors, I mean, I think that's a societal change.
Yeah.
I mean, an athlete, they're making money, but it's entertainment. And we as Americans spend more money on entertainment than anything else, and some people would rather go be entertained than, get a surgery done to save their life. I mean, you have a bucket list.
Yeah.
How many people bucket list is, to get their gallbladder removed? Now your bucket list is to go visit the Super Bowl or go to the World Series.
Correct.
So entertainment is a major impact when you're talking about not only America but all over the world. Because I mean, one of my god kids, or the kid that I mentored, he plays overseas basketball. Right now he's in Poland. Robert Turner. We talked on yesterday, and he's making good money playing overseas, but their basketball compared to our basketball is just vastly different. We spend way more money on entertainment, and they do more popularity when it comes to their basketball, even though he can make money over there, but it's more money in the NBA.
I think you said something, though, which make a lot of sense. So that's why we lacking in certain areas, because we put more money into entertainment instead of education.
Yep.
So if we put more money in education. Also, you said that, individuals that are actually making the money, the teachers had to teach them in the first place.
Yeah.
So I would say this here, to make everybody happy. That's why a lot of police get upset. Let's get the police a rate. Let's get the teachers a rate. Let's double what they're getting paid. I'm putting that out there right now. If we get a teachers, if they're making $80,000 a year, it would not hurt them to let a teacher make $106,000 a year. It wouldn't hurt them. It wouldn't hurt the community. It wouldn't hurt them as educators, because we expect more of y'all as y'all getting that money, though. We expect more of the educators. Yeah. Because there's certain coaches that get the $5 million a year, and certain coaches don't. Because those certain coaches that get the $5 million, they produce. Yeah. They got a lot of their players going to the NFL. Yeah. So if you want to get the $5 million, or the teachers want to get the 160, or the police department or the sheriff department, they should be paying the police more. We need to have a better community. We need to have a safe community. Don't mean that we have to shoot everybody up or fight everybody, but the community should be a safer community. And I would say, hey, pay them more too. Pay the education more. Everybody want more money. And I think that the way money is going out now, it's okay to give people extra money or more money. I believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I just know we're in a capitalist country, and money is spent more in entertainment than necessity, than what we need to necessarily be spending money on. I mean, I agree totally. I think educators should be one of the highest paid folks, and what's going to do is you're going to have the best people trying to be educated.
That's right.
But that's not necessarily the direction that, our country goes in when they, making decisions. That's another show.
That's another show, but it's something we need to talk about, discuss. That's another show, though.
Yeah, that's another show.
We're just going to stay on the NIL.
But while we on the NIL,
I
mean, what do you think? I want to ask you on the business side, how do you feel about the Shedeur Sanders? Like the embarkment of him, which he's an NIL superstar. He's one of the
top earners
of NIL money
all
in
time.
the history of name, image, and likeness. What do you think about the impact? Not only is he going to have on the NFL in the future, but the impact of, I read something earlier about, some people are saying, hey, we're not going to pay for the jerseys that the NFL is producing. We're going to pay for the jerseys that's on his website.
Okay.
Well, that's a big separation, man, when you start taking money out of NFL pocket, number one, all right? But first thing I want to say in regards to Shedeur is, big shout out to him, number one, for coming from such a good background,
Yes,
a strong foundation, right?
Yeah.
And then having someone in his corner to help him understand how to deal with all of this. Because remember, that's one of the first questions I asked is how does it shift a young woman's attitude when they come into so much money at an early age, right? That necessarily it wouldn't have been there if they didn't have the athletic talent, right? So his dad, was a big driving force with everything that he's done. Has some of the bravado on the field and off the field, kind of jaded the image of how people view him.
But why?
Hold up. Because as athletes, what are they supposed to do? Shut up and dribble, hike the ball and throw it. The bravado aspect, man, really is what rubs people the wrong way. Now, listen, I'm all for having swagger, right? But there is a certain kind of profile, unfortunately, it's what it is, that you're supposed to have as a quarterback. And what I'll say is that he necessarily doesn't fit the profile of most traditional quarterbacks in the NFL. So that's why I believe he had a hard time getting picked where his athletic talent should have put him at. But the profile in which he's presented has not been what the NFL wanted to
tell you what
see.
I read earlier today.
He done started something, man.
Let me tell you.
Let me tell you
what I read earlier today. I read that some NFL execs got upset because Shedeur Sanders said, "You've seen us change programs in college, Jackson State. You've seen us change Colorado. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna change your program." Hey, listen. I want a guy in my locker room that's going to say that as a coach, as an owner. If I'm an owner and my team is a subpar team, which the teams that were picking early that needed quarterbacks, they're not good. So you don't want your locker room to change? You don't want your locker room to go from night until day? Oh, I want that. So any other time, I think that most people would say, guess what? If the profile was different, they would say, you know what? Shedeur, man, I love that kid. That kid came in and he had all this leadership and he wanted to change.
But remember we talk about keeping the main thing.
Yeah.
If the NFL's X was about keeping the main thing, which was his athletics, his accomplishments, from changing from one school to the next, and just even from his high school play on up, because you talk about guys like Boomer Esiason, Peyton Manning, they kind of followed Peyton Manning, not Peyton Manning, but Sean Payton, as well as Tom Brady. Yeah. They followed this guy from youth football on up, and he's been an outstanding athlete. Yeah. So why couldn't the NFL execs keep the main thing about athletics?
Let me say that.
Because what?
I already know what it was.
Let me say this.
It's because who his daddy is.
Yeah, that's where I'm going at. Okay, so I want to give shouts out first to his father. To the whole family, the Sanders family.
Absolutely.
The way that he had taken care of his son, put his sons in position to be NFL players. I personally didn't see anything wrong with the way his attitude is. I think that they've been a very outspoken about their abilities. When you're not outspoken about your abilities, then you're not going to get noticed. But he proved himself. They're proving themselves. Deion has proven himself in college. He proved himself in NFL, baseball. Everything that man has done is at a whole nother level. Yeah. Now, as a coach, he said, no, listen, one young man tried to call him prime or whatever. He said, no, man, call me coach. So you got to make people respect you. He made people respect him. Yeah. As the father. Yeah. So that's in his blood.
I get it.
He on the court.
He's been very well groomed.
He's been very well groomed. And he respect people. Yeah. Even as the 5th round, they was excited like it was the first pick. Yeah. They wasn't mad. They wasn't upset about that. No, why?
It wasn't.
He used the money.
Yeah.
They're not correct. A lot of the other guys who got selected, their family ain't used to money like that. Now, a couple of them been getting NIL money,
Yeah.
but he grew up in money. So what I'm saying is this right here. I think that the
hear
NFL,
everything
which
y'all
I'm
saying.
glad they did it, because what they did was, to me, they shined a light on the young man. And it's going to benefit him and other people that want to open up themselves.
No,
It's a change.
I was the first person to say when I saw where he finally got drafted at, because I'm like, round 1, round 2, round 3, I'm like, wow, why he didn't. Athletically, he should be at least a first rounder or a minimal second rounder, right? But I believe he should be in the first round. But why? Again, I come back to the question. Can't the exec see through that? Not just because of who his daddy is, because at the same time, he's the one in the interviews. He's the one who's talking to the execs. He's the one who's talking to the coaches, right? He's on an island by himself. Yes, he's been groomed of what to say, how to respond, this and that, but sometimes how you respond can affect what the outcome may be.
Yeah.
That's what my question is. What happened in those rooms that did not...
I just told you. Listen, some people may want to be losers when everybody else want them to be winners.
I don't necessarily think that.
I'm finna tell you. I'm finna tell you. So when you look at athletics, and I'm not even finna pick at your team, because there may be some more cowgirls in here. I'm not even gonna pick at your team. But when you talk about even the Cowboys, when you look at a group, do they really want to win?
Man.
Do they really want to win?
Cowboys don't.
I say no. They really don't want to win. They're satisfied with making money off of a star, which is the star on their chest.
On the desk.
Yeah, not a star. You know what I'm saying? They're all right with the star. You know what I'm saying? They're all right just being the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? They all right with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But then you take a franchise like my team, the Eagles, and you take that franchise and you say, hey, you know what? They getting the best grades in the draft every year. And now teams like Atlanta Falcons, who are not used to winning, they're not used to winning. What they're doing is they're copycatting how the Eagles do. They done took 2 D linemen.
I never knew you was an Eagles fan.
And a guy from Georgia.
Stinking Eagles,
you know,
man.
They done took one.
Hey, listen.
You know what I'm saying?
Is he an Eagles fan though?
Yeah.
He's always been an Eagles fan?
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, I think he came
But as long
on
as he's
board a
been
couple
on-
years ago.
Yeah.
I think he came on board to the Eagles a couple
06.
years ago.
2006.
Oh, see, I tell you, he just came on not too long
2006.
ago.
Hey, listen.
Not too long ago.
It's nothing. And I'm finna, anybody out there.
Bandwagoner,
There's nothing
man.
wrong. No, that's not bandwagoning. Bandwagoning
06.
is you start
06.
off with a team and then you
06.
change in the midst
I
of a
don't
year.
believe it was
That's a
06. I think it was like
bandwagoner.
2016.
Let me tell you. It's nothing wrong with seeing that the franchise ain't going nowhere. I used to be a Falcons fan, but I seen it wasn't going nowhere.
Oh, you see this?
It's nothing wrong with that.
I've been a Cowboy
There's
fan
nothing
since
in the rule
88.
book that say, hey, you
1 and
got to go for
15.
this team for the rest of your life. Then some people might as well die because some teams aren't going to
They're not going to do nothing.
They aren't going to win.
So let me shift it back. What in regards to Shador, he is in the perfect place to show who he say he is.
Yes.
All right. They picked up some pretty decent picks on the defense. The defense is already pretty good with Cleveland. All right. And he has a couple weapons that are.
I wish he could have got Travis. I wish Cleveland would have drafted Travis.
That wasn't going to happen.
And then got Shador later.
No. But he's in the perfect place to do
he's gonna be
what
starting
he's supposed to do.
Because the other quarterbacks, they hurt. One of them is a little old. So by the time he get to understand, even if he set it a whole year, I don't think he's gonna set it the whole year. He may be playing probably by half of the year. A lot of the quarterbacks are not, they're older. Sean, he's hurt, so a lot of them not going to be at a place. So I agree with you. He's in a great position. Yeah, but again, I think that
he's going to have a chip on the shoulder too. Well, absolutely.
I think so. That you have to, as a professional athlete, you have to have a chip on your shoulder, and that's what Brady did. Brady did the same thing. He got him in the 5th round. He ended up with 5, 6,
7.
Is it 6?
6 or 7.
7 championship. Yeah. So now, what's the name of Mahomes? Of course, Mahomes probably get about 9 or 10 of those after it's all over with. But at the end of the day, Dallas Cowboys won't get another. They're not going to get another championship.
It's all good. It's all good. It's going to be interesting to see, though, in that comment you made, how are the Cleveland Browns as well as the NFL going to deal with the selling of the jersey?
Well, it's not going to hurt the NFL. I mean, I looked online. I mean, you can get a Shedeur Sanders jersey because what you can do is buy a Cleveland jersey, put and get it number 2 put on it and put Sanders on the back. I mean, so it's not going to really hurt the NFL.
Okay.
It's just going to put more money in Shedeur's pocket
Exactly.
at the end of the day.
Making him even more.
Yeah, even more.
Yeah.
And the more, this is the crazy thing about it. No one's going to be, because he was a 5th round pick, so no one's going to be like, oh yeah, next week it's going to be Shedeur. No,
Yeah.
it's giving him an opportunity to learn with no pressure at all. And when he comes and rises to the top out of a 5 quarterback room, a room full of quarterbacks, 5 of them, hey man, I mean, he's going to be deservingly so the face of that franchise when that time comes. So I mean, I love it. I think it's a great situation, and just like my boy LeBron James, I believe it was for you, Cleveland. I think he's gonna be yelling at.
Yeah. So, fellas, this right here is coming to the close of today's episode, and we talked about the NIL stuff.
Yeah,
name, image, and likeness. Just remember that, folks, is one of the most valuable pieces that you need to protect in your day to day, no matter what you're involved in. Okay, make yourself valuable. Continue to be an asset. Tom, you got anything to leave people with?
Yes, understand the structure of it. We need to do more research as parents and coaches to understand the layout, the finances, and the colleges. I know they don't want us to know that, but it's something that we need to do more research on.
Cornell.
I think, man, protect who you are. Protect your why. When you protect your name, image, and likeness, you protect your why. So understand your purpose, and you will be successful.
All right. Family, people, community, we appreciate you for tuning in for this last episode of Press Release, where we talk about business, community, and sports. Most definitely make sure you follow us at Facebook, at Instagram, at TikTok, and also on Spotify and Apple Music. Also on YouTube as well. Signing off. Remember, if you're pressed, just release.
Yay.
See you next time.
See you next time.